Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to today's webinar on SugarCRM's acquisition of Salesfusion and what it means for you. I'm Martin Schneider with SugarCRM, and I've got with me today Logan Henderson, who is the General Manager Marketing Automation at SugarCRM, formerly CEO at Salesfusion, here with you today. And also with me today, going through most of the content, is David Campbell, who's the VP of Product Marketing at SugarCRM. Guys, welcome. Before we begin, though, let me just get a quick agenda level set here on what we're going to go through. First, we're going to give an introduction to SugarCRM, who we are, what we're all about. Talk a bit about why Sugar and Salesfusion, what makes this a great marriage of both technology and company culture. And then we're going to have a panel discussion, and Logan, David, and myself will be answering your questions. So with that in mind, you'll notice on your console there's a little chat bar or question bar. If you have questions, since you're all in listen-only mode, everybody's muted. At the end, after the slide portion, we're going to get to your questions. So just put any question you might have about the merger, about Sugar the product, what you're interested in, and we'll get to them. If we don't get to them, you will receive an answer via email after the broadcast. Okay, so with that, David, why don't you kick us off and tell the audience about SugarCRM?
Awesome, thank you very much, Martin. And thank you all for attending. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that. SugarCRM, we're obviously in the CRM business. We like to say that we enable businesses to create extraordinary customer relationships with the most empowering, adaptable, and affordable customer experience solution on the market. So really, I think what makes Sugar singular in our market is, one, we have a very unique focus on end user experience and automation and minimization of data entry and presentation. Second thing is we have a very almost maniacal focus on customer service, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And the third is that our technology platform is really the most modern, durable, and future-proof customer experience solution that you can get on the market today. Part of that is, a huge part of that is the way that we've architected and designed it, but another aspect of that is the fact that we have truly embraced and designed our platform for AWS. And so we leverage a lot of the capabilities of AWS, including the ability to dynamically scale, the facilities they have in there for machine learning, worldwide availability, and the ability to have distributed data centers. In terms of our customers, we have over 2 million users spread across 5,000 customers in over 120 countries and in 26 languages. So we are worldwide. A huge portion of our business is global. A lot of the names that you see here in terms of our customers, these are kind of the marquee ones that people know, but a large portion of our customer base is in small and medium business. So there's a lot of names that aren't as marquee, but they represent the bulk of our customers, and they actually represent sort of our target in terms of who we design for. The analysts are very fond of us. Martin, if you could advance the slide, we might be having some lag here, but analysts are very fond of us. Gartner, they categorize us as a visionary based on the strength of our product, especially in terms of usability. They like our strategic vision, and they like the flexibility of our platform. They feel like we have the capabilities of moving up market in enterprise. We choose as a strategy to have the bulk of our focus be on mid-market. One of the things that Gartner's really pleased about is the fact that our customers really feel strongly about our platform and about our company, and they give us really high scores for the configurability, our APIs, and our architecture. Looks like we're having some slide issues here, so I'm going to pause for. There we go.
There we go.
So, okay, you can go ahead and advance it again there. Okay, so I talked a little bit about customer sat, but this is a really big thing about Sugar, and really, it's nice when the analysts like you, but really the proof in the pudding is how well your customers like you. So one reflection of that is how well we've done in one of the key comparisons that are done in our industry. So each year, PCMag does a survey to its subscribers asking about in different categories of software for their recommendations. And since that survey has been initiated for CRM, there's only been one winner, four-time winner, and that is us. In the most recent survey, we were ranked #1 for overall SAT, #1 for reliability, #1 for Net Promoter Score, which is basically a customer's proclivity to recommend the solution to others. And we were #1 for likelihood of recommendations, kind of a very similar category there. So that one's real important to us. We like to win that because then we know that that we're doing a very good job. So what I really want to talk about next is why Sugar and Salesfusion. So we're a CRM company. Salesfusion is a leader in marketing automation. What is it about this acquisition that made sense to us, and where do we see Salesfusion playing in our overall suite? So I think in order to understand this really well, it helps to kind of get a historical view. And the way we see it, CRM systems, as you know, started in mass in the 1990s. That's when high adoption started taking place. And those legacy CRM systems were very management focused. And what I mean by that is that those systems were really set up to help companies get the customer information out of people's heads and off their Rolodexes and into a centralized system, mainly so that management could track their customers and their employees and their interactions with those customers. And the promise to management at that time was you're going to get a 360 view of your customers, and you're going to be able to install personal accountability for every employee. And so great amounts of money were spent to deploy CRM systems. And those implementations were very long and very costly. But there's kind of a low benefit to effort ratio. Once those systems were rolled out to users, the users found them very hard to use and often had an amazing amount of overhead. So historically, these CRMs were very data hungry, and for end users, that data entry overhead was onerous. And worse, when those users wanted to get information out of the system, it offered really no more information than they put in. So that kind of poor value ratio there really led to poor adoption. Typically, adoption among end users was very, very low, and without end user adoption, that data, whatever data is in there, becomes stale, it becomes incomplete, and that compounds the whole problem because then nobody wants to use it. So that really resulted in a failed value promise that in the end, management did not get their 360 view, and employees didn't really get anything that could help them with their job day to day. So what we have in our vision is expanding this notion of knowing about your customers to really optimizing your engagement with those customers so that every customer experience is a positive one. So we have this notion of customer experience management, which is the collection of systems and processes that a company uses to track, oversee, and organize every interaction between a customer and the organization throughout that customer's journey. So that sounds a bit like CRM. So let me differentiate a little bit. Customer experience management really focuses on people more than the data. It's around managing those customer engagements and optimizing them and making sure that they are positive. Second thing is that it views everything from the customer's perspective rather than the company's perspective. So whereas CRM might look at everything as sort of components or cogs in a process that they run internally, CEM forces you to look at everything from the customer's perspective. And the third aspect is that it's managing CEM is really focused on managing customer experience to shape the relationship. So in other words, good customer relationships, good CRM is really a designed outcome of managing customer experiences really well. So how do we do that as a company? We have a vision for the modern customer experience platform that incorporates not just the latest technology and best practices, but also a fundamentally different design philosophy that puts those learnings at the service of frontline users, not just management. Those frontline users whose job it is to actually work with customers and shape those experiences. Those users, if you think about the average age and the internet exposure through their lifetimes, those users have developed very high expectations of systems. If you want to drive user adoption with those users, you have to meet a different standard than was in place 20 years ago. So first part of that standard really would be around the user experience. 20 years ago, pretty much all business applications had tabs along the top and menus down the side. They all look kind of the same, but if your job is selling to, say, a few large customers, that requires a very different user experience than, say, a call center agent who has to talk to 30 customers a day. So we design our user experiences to understand the user's role, the process in which that user is engaged, and the job to be done, so that we can dramatically help the user in what they do day to day and drive adoption. The second aspect is mobile. So you think about it today, users interact with their phones all the time, and they expect the applications that they use, whether they're business applications or personal productivity applications, they expect those to be available on their devices. So the modern customer experience platform, that's a mobile-first platform, and mobile is deeply integrated into that experience. The third would be that the modern platform is really cloud-based. Just like we are converting as a world into a subscription economy, the modern customer experience platform lives in the cloud. And that cloud makes it easier than ever to deploy and to update their business software. And it strips away the complexity of managing IT infrastructure and allows businesses to focus just on their core competency and on maximizing customer experience. The fourth aspect is data. So if you think about it, today's workers, they grew up with the internet. They're accustomed to be able to access all the world's information at their fingertips by entering a barely coherent phrase into a Google search bar. And Google can make sense of that and return sensible results, at least in most cases. So we believe that CRM systems have largely not kept pace with that kind of standard. And we also believe that modern workers are just not satisfied with systems that are going to create a whole lot of overhead and offer very little value in return. So our vision for the modern platform is one that, through data augmentation and analytics, produces more information and insight than the data that was put into it. And then finally, there's AI, which we consider a key part of the platform. If you think about it, we're living in a world where computing resources in the cloud, data storage are all very, very cheap. We live in a world where applications collect enormous amounts of data. They have large data sets. So AI is the next logical step. AI doesn't really need someone to tell it what it needs to do. It can decide what is useful all on its own and then present those findings and those data insights to users. So our vision is one where the customer experience platform uses AI to discover and surface insight and direction to users. So all of these capabilities really make this modern customer experience platform very powerful, and it's one that we believe drives adoption and therefore increases the likelihood of success for customer experience related products. So in terms of technology, and this is really where we're going to get into how Salesfusion fits into this vision. As I mentioned before, we're built on Amazon Web Services. So we have a fundamental layer where the things like computing resources, database, different kinds of fundamental plumbing and services are all handled by a web infrastructure that is really pretty much proven as the most scalable infrastructure in the world because it powers the largest e-commerce marketplace in the world. We build on top of that, and we built a unified customer data platform that takes data from a variety of sources, from a variety of applications, and unifies that data into a single data model that's available not only to our platform, but through APIs. It's available to any system or any user that needs it. We build on top of that core capabilities like reporting and analytics, workflow automation, cloud services, mobile, collaboration facilities, all of those things. And then on top of those, we build what we consider the three pillars of our solution. So if you think about the way that companies engage with customers, the people who actually shape customer experience, it's really in most companies it boils down to three organizations: marketing, who are responsible for attracting and engaging prospects; sales, who's responsible for turning prospects into paying customers; and service, who, once you have a paying customer, is responsible for ensuring that those customers are happy and retaining them. So we devise applications on top of this platform to help those three main constituents not only do their jobs well, but also leverage the insights and the information coming from other parts of the organization so they can do their job even better. So that, for example, if we know that a sales rep is going to go in for renewals, but the customer service, they've got a lot of open cases and a customer's not in a very happy state, we surface that information proactively so that those renewal discussions, things can happen in those renewal discussions so we can mitigate the risk at that particular client site. And then moving out, what we're doing now, we're building out intelligent AI-based insight engines to go and interrogate that data and to figure out what are the important key trends that people aren't going to know without having looked at that data very, very deeply. So, and then figuring out ways in which we can present that information in context with the user in their daily process. And then the last aspect of this is really around omni-channel user experience. So this ability to, no matter how a user wants to interact with the system, to be able to provide them those CRM capabilities, or at least the CRM capabilities that make sense for that interface. So if you click the slide, where Salesfusion obviously fits in this, they are one of the three pillars of our solution set. They represent the marketing aspect, which you could argue is the most important thing, because that's the initial customer experience right there is when you market to customers. We looked at a lot of different companies in this space, and by far Salesfusion was definitely the best fit, because they have a very similar vision to ours, and they have a very similar way in which they view customer satisfaction. So if you advance to the next slide, well, the first thing about Salesfusion is they have a vision for marketing automation that's very much aligned with ours, especially considering the idea of focusing on customer experience or end user experiences as opposed to being a data capture platform for management. Secondly, they're architecturally compatible. So when we looked at the technology architecture, there was a whole bunch of synergies and alignment in terms of the components they were using and how they were designed and their ability to scale, which made it completely compatible with our platform. And the other aspect of that is that they have an integration into Sugar that's already been out in the market for 6 years and is proven in many, many customers. They also share our maniacal focus on customer success. So Salesfusion has been an innovator in using managed services to drive the adoption and value of their platform. So as just part of the deployment experience, as many of you know, Salesfusion has a managed service that actually, at the end of the deployment, you're actually performing marketing campaigns. It's not just theory, you're putting it into action. We love that. And then the fourth aspect is they're really an ideal cultural fit in terms of their values, in terms of what they think is important, and in terms of just their work ethic and their integrity. Complete great fit for Sugar. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Martin, and we'll get to the panel discussion.
All right, great. Well, thanks, David. That was awesome. That was great. Now, just for some housekeeping, a lot of the questions always are, around recording and will this. Yes, we are recording. We will send all registrants a copy of the archive of the webinar in a few days. So if you missed a portion or you want to share this with some coworkers, we'll have that available to you. Just want to let that know. So this one, and maybe Logan can kick this one off. One of the questions that came in is, a lot of, the press release and all the things saying, business as usual. But the question is, a lot of times when a CRM application buys something like a marketing application, they kind of ignore all the other CRM systems out there to optimize for the one that acquired them. Logan, for Salesfusion customers who are maybe using something else, will that support go away? I think is really what the question is. People who might be integrating with Bullhorn or something like that.
Yeah, of course. Happy to chime in here. And in short answer, no. We are going to continue to support all of our CRM integrations and all of our relationships. Partly why this acquisition was very exciting from the Salesfusion side is gaining the additional resources that we can leverage from the SugarCRM team. So at day one, we had 8 open engineering headcount added to the existing Salesfusion team. That's a significant increase in the resources dedicated to improving our marketing technology product. There are specific components of the Sugar system that we'll want to integrate further. There's some really cool products with Hint being a great example of one that we want to see what we can leverage on the Salesfusion side, but we're going to continue to develop and invest in our integrations with all CRM partners and continue to support our customers with Salesfusion as a standalone marketing application that's integrated to a third-party CRM.
Great. Now related to that, Logan, will Salesfusion the support model remain vertically integrated? These are the questions where, so no use of third-party integrations for support. So I guess the question is, will Salesfusion continue to be the ones managing that, or is there any plan to go to a kind of third party to continue to support those integrations?
Yeah, so for our core CRM integrations, we are going to continue to support those natively. So we obviously have our team of integration engineers in-house that build and maintain those connectors. We're going to continue to do that moving forward, but we are also going to be looking at third-party, for lack of a better term, middleware applications to expand into additional technologies that go beyond CRM, so that we've got a larger integration footprint and ultimately a larger technology footprint for our customers to leverage.
Excellent, excellent. Now this one, maybe Logan can kick that off, and then David or myself can chime in as well. What's the plan for customer education? Would love to see some more free education and resources for both SalesFusion and Sugar CRM. If we're going to move to Sugar, I guess is the question there. So what's the the training, the online, the free resources? How does that change now that you're with the combined entity? I guess is the question there.
Yeah, they're going to continue to get better. Our team, and why this makes a lot of sense is we've been 50 people based in Atlanta. We're now part of a 400-person global organization with teams dedicated exclusively to education and developing resources focused on a variety of means, whether it is standard white papers and knowledge base articles or compelling video content. We're going to really be multi-threaded in the types of assets we produce, and we want to continue to make sure that not only are we putting content out there related to the systems and the use of technology, but also continue to provide that strategic resource and provide analysis on market trends and development efforts that marketing and sales organizations should be aware of.
Excellent, excellent. Another thing to add is, you talk about the combination. One of the things that Sugar has had for a long time is what we call Sugar University, and that is an online knowledge base, a set of video support and tutorials, training, some majority free, but can also be upgraded to some paid and some structured training as well. But again, that larger set and tucking in SalesFusion's existing resources into that, but then also really embellishing them and building on them with our larger team is really exciting as well, because not only will we have a lot of resources about using SalesFusion as a standalone product, but also creating, kind of thought leadership and other things around a kind of training idea of not just integrating with Sugar per se, but actually leveraging more closed loop sales and marketing concepts that can help your business. And that's what we really look forward to, is creating that content that'll be, mostly free resources, videos, demos, and tutorials. And that's all in the offing. That's something that our support team is excited to get started on as well. So a lot of great things coming from there. Now, another related question coming in, will the existing customer support, or let's call it the actual support for SalesFusion, is that going to remain out of the Atlanta SalesFusion headquarters staff? Logan?
Yes, so we are continuing to, as an integrated one company, we want to make sure that people on the Sugar side and people on the SalesFusion side are familiar with both platforms and both technologies, but we are going to continue to have support staff and technical staff and training staff dedicated exclusively to the marketing technology product. We are in the process of ramping up some of the existing Sugar team so that they're familiar, just to give us, basically a wider coverage and a wider time frame to service our customers and leverage some of the team they have in Asia Pacific and a broader team in EMEA. But the core SalesFusion team is staying completely intact and will be the marketing and the SalesFusion experts that you'll be communicating with.
Excellent, excellent. Now, a question, I guess, for both of you guys as well is, will any features in SalesFusion be eliminated in favor of Sugar's features?
Yeah, and I can chime in here, and David, if I miss anything, feel free to cut me off or chime in and add in accordingly. But no, when we looked at the existing footprint of some of what Sugar had and what SalesFusion had, there was some light overlap from marketing campaigns, but generally the two products are very different. And so what we're going to continue to do is invest in SalesFusion's core product footprint and core application. So we don't plan to remove anything from the product. We actually are planning to continue to add additional features. Something that we spoke about very early on in the process is, how do you incorporate other technologies and other features as part of kind of the core automation functionality, and thinking about it in the context of a nurture. How do you build in things like SMS? How do you build in things like direct mail? So the team at Sugar has actually had been putting together some great ideas in terms of marketing to not only prospects, but marketing to customers throughout the lifetime of the engagement, so that it's not just focused on new engagement and new activity, but it's focused on retention and focused on expansion and cross-sell opportunities. As you move into the full customer experience and the full lifetime marketing, there's other technologies and other tools that we want to incorporate as part of the product. So we're going to continue to invest and expand the core application footprint of SalesFusion.
That's great. Yeah, and as someone who's been with SugarCRM since pretty much its beginning, I can attest that all of the marketing features in SalesFusion that don't overlap, they don't exist in Sugar, right? So we're not going to put, we're not going to replace any of those SalesFusion features with Sugar features. And then the ones that do kind of overlap, the SalesFusion ones are a little bit more what I would call kind of modern in terms of how we market today, and can align with something. Say you're using Sugar, they almost kind of lock in and hand off through a process, but they're not something that you would actually replace each other with anyway. They kind of coexist in terms of the lead in Sugar needs to be associated with a prospect or someone in SalesFusion. So they're always going to coexist, because someone might be using Sugar, they might be using SalesFusion, they might be using both, they might be using some other CRM and things like that. So, or some other marketing, and you're using Sugar. So yeah, I can attest that this is 100% about complementing existing Sugar functionality, not pushing Sugar into anything SalesFusion. So that's great. Now another question coming in: how will the UX be updated to make both platforms similar to use?
Yeah, so SalesFusion has invested a lot in the UI and the user experience within the application. A lot of that is being based on Google's material design and a card UI, so that you've got some of the drag and drop functionality, and you're interfacing with what looks like a modern web browser. We have taken that, what started with our initial global dashboard and that concept into other management experiences with all of the drag and drop builders for emails and pages. You have the same experience in web forms. We're going to continue to invest in that framework, but we're also going to be updating the look and feel of the SalesFusion iframe and tables within Sugar. So Sugar has made great strides in their UI and their UX, and we want to make sure that both platforms are accelerating and continuing to invest in those categories. So there's not necessarily going to be a huge undertaking to make the systems look and feel the same, because that they are marketing and sales technology systems, and because we are going to continue to support both products standalone, we want to make sure that they integrate together. We want to make sure that there's a seamless sync with the data and the information that's being passed back and forth. But that is the exact same way we're treating all of our CRMs. So we're continuing to advance SalesFusion as a product, because it's going to continue to be a marketing technology product.
Great. Now, probably a question on the minds of a lot of current SalesFusion customers is: will annual agreements be revised or remain as is?
Yes. So your agreement that you have in place is the exact same agreement moving forward. So partly what will be different is at the renewal, the way that the ordering is handled. Frankly, the Sugar team has a very disciplined approach to order management and renewal management. They have customer success managers who are focused exclusively on making sure that renewal process is really seamless. So we're going to be leveraging some of the systems and some of the outreach that they already have in place. But the SalesFusion terms of service, the operating agreement that you're currently under, will remain intact. And just be ported over, but with the exact same terms as part of Sugar now.
Great. I think when things are in the cloud, people start to think about, well, where's my stuff hosted? Who owns it? What's happening now? Question coming in similar in that vein is, will legacy pages and forms remain on SalesFusion, or are there plans to get rid of them?
So legacy pages and forms have been on the plan for deprecation with the release of the new form and page builders. What we had to make sure is that there's feature parity and that there's a easy migration plan for any of your legacy assets to be converted into the latest framework. but the entire hosting mechanism, everything about Salesfusion as it is today, will remain in place. Something that is intriguing and something that we have had a lot of conversations about is leveraging some of the technology architecture that AWS, Amazon Web Services, has built. So we are both organizations leverage AWS for cloud hosting. And what we're going to continue to do is invest in that unified data layer so that you've got real-time analytics and real-time updates. And there's not really a sync, but it's one unified layer. But the Salesfusion hosting assets and the mechanism for doing that will all remain the same.
Great. Now, kind of a related question, but I think in a little broader sense. What should we expect as customers as far as any changes or updates in the next, say, 30, 60, 90 days from the combined entities?
Yeah, so for most customers, it is going to be business as usual. The Salesfusion team, everyone who's based in Atlanta and in our remote offices in the UK, they are all now members of the Sugar team. So there was no headcount reduction. The individuals you've been communicating with and working with are all here. So in terms of what are the changes from a business side, there won't be any. But if there is interest in understanding kind of the future of Salesfusion and Sugar and what does it look like, and maybe you haven't seen the SugarCRM application, we're happy to have any of those conversations and have a very broad team to help solicit any of the questions or feedback. But for everyone who's on another CRM, things will just be the exact same.
Great. Now, I think a lot of people are curious about kind of the combined entity. A couple questions kind of related, but what's the development roadmap that's going to make it more compelling for us to be using Sugar and Salesfusion together rather than another CRM?
Yeah, David, I think that's probably a question best for you.
Yeah, cool. I was kind of raring at the bit to answer that one, actually. So for us at Sugar, one of the things that was really, really appealing about this acquisition was we will have the pieces in place, not all the connective tissue, but definitely the pieces in place to do full attribution. So before we didn't have the marketing automation piece, although we did have the closure piece. Now with this, we can theoretically track all the way from our first engagement on the marketing end. We can fully track the set of events and interactions that we do with customers all the way till they close. And with that, we should be able to build out an attribution engine that figures out the allocation of different kinds of marketing activities towards successful closure of customers, and then surface that up through some of the hint technologies to give you insight about what's working and what's not in marketing, and not just what is driving click-throughs, but things that are actually in the end resulting in more customers. We're really excited to start working on that, and so we don't have any time frames on that, but this was a deliberate act to put those pieces in place so that we could start working on building those kinds of things.
Great. Now, one last question I think we have coming in. Actually, it's a couple more. So a couple more questions. One is, will there be any special pricing for Salesfusion customers who want to add Sugar seats?
Given that I am not in the sales seat, I'm going to caveat that all of this is with a grain of salt. But we want to continue to work with our customers, whether they are a existing Sugar customer or they are maybe new and looking to explore CRM alternatives. So we will certainly have those conversations, and want to make sure. I think something that was very apparent when we started having these conversations is putting the customer first. We're not here to try and price gouge someone. We're not here to try and squeeze every dollar that we can. We want to make sure that the technology suits the business purpose and that our end users and our customers are enabled to be successful. And that is going to be successful through the technology that they use, through the processes that they have, through the people they interact with, and the cost and the overall affordableness of the platforms. So we know budgets are always a big topic of conversation, and from the experience that I've had with the Sugar team, they are very reasonable in how they approach contracts and how they approach pricing. So I can't say definitively what that potential may be. It is certainly something that we will listen to with open ears.
Yeah, I think one of the great things is what you get when you're working with a company like Sugar with the addition of Salesfusion is economy of scale, right? So rather than having to negotiate with Salesfusion and a CRM provider, that's different now when it's together. The consideration of the overall deployment gives you leverage, right? You know what I mean? And I think that's a good thing. Another thing we typically do is we at Sugar, historically, we've done some interesting bundles. We have our Hint Data Insights product line. We have our customer journey tools. And then we have our core product with all the great BPM and all those things. And we've put them together for like really attractive price bundles where when you put these things together with other product lines, they can be $300 or more per user per month. They're like $85 a user. So you can start to see how we can start to create really cost-effective bundling and solutions for our customers going forward now that we're integrating the products, both from a technical sense, they're already integrated, but really from a go-to-market. So that's going to be really exciting as well. So if you're not using Sugar today, it's something that, stay tuned to see, some compelling offers, but really just start to look at our pricing and look at the combined pricing and Salesfusion plus the core Sugar CRM is still going to be probably, for what we offer, a cost to benefit ratio, one of the best, if not the best on the market. And without going into too many specifics on pricing, it's going to be a great deal for you no matter what, right? And that's the exciting thing. That's what we really liked, was being able to grab great functionality and bring that to market at a cost that really benefits the end user as well. Now, time for one last question, I think. Since Sugar has a mobile app, will you be able to bring a mobile app to Salesfusion?
Yeah, part of what we can really leverage is the team and the experience that Sugar has in place and the technologies they've developed. So David mentioned in kind of the go forward and the product vision, a lot of different components from UX and AI and big data analytics, but with mobile being a key centerpiece. There's some, full disclosure on the Salesfusion side. I've seen some very, very cool mobile products that are in the early stage of development on the Sugar side that I'm incredibly excited, incredibly bullish about, and would love to get my hands on. So there's going to be a heavy focus on making the Salesfusion application very mobile friendly. So today, all of the builders and all the campaigns are mobile responsive when you create, but the application itself is not mobile first. That is something that we will continue to invest in and make sure that being able to run the application on various devices and through various mobile or desktop applications is a great experience.
Great. Well, I think we were able to get to every question almost. There might be a couple that were very similar, but if not, we will answer your questions via email. To my panelists, Logan and David, thank you so much. A lot of great information there. But for more information and how you can get a demo of Sugar, get a free trial of Sugar, if you're interested, you can go to this URL, and I'll leave this up for a moment just so you can take that down. But you can also quickly find this on the web or on our website. We're really excited about the combination of these two technologies. They bring an amazing amount of benefit to your organization, not just in the generic sense of marketing and CRM together, but I think there is, as David pointed out, there's a lot of unique affinities between the companies and between the technologies, all designed to benefit you, the user. So if you have information, or want more information, you could contact us through the link there. There's clicks to some demos and videos as well. You could receive a live demo, all that there. So with that being said, again, Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your great questions. Thank you, Logan and David. This has been great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Martin.